I was 42 when I came back home for good. Or so I thought. My name's Travis, Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army, medically discharged after shrapnel tore through my right thigh outside Mosul. 22 years of service, 5 deployments, 2 Purple Hearts, and a spine full of memories that never quite settled. I was proud of what I did, even if it left me with nightmares, a limp, and a body stitched together like a damn rag doll. Coming home should have been the start of peace. I pictured long mornings with coffee, watching my son hit baseballs in the backyard, holding my wife in the kitchen while she laughed at dumb things I said. I had it all lined up in my head, but reality has a nasty habit of kicking you in the teeth when you're already down. My wife's name's Marcy. We met in El Paso when I was stationed at Fort Bliss. She was working as a vet tech, and I brought in a stray dog I found behind the PX. I told her it had mange. Truth was, I just wanted a reason to talk to her. She had this wild, curly brown hair and a laugh that hit me like sunshine. We got married a year later. She stuck with me through the good and the awful. Letters from downrange, months without phone calls, me coming back half alive more than once. We had a son, Connor, who's now 14. Kid smarter than me and funnier than I ever was. I thought we were solid. Bent in places, sure, but solid. And then there was Mike. Mike Barlow. We met during my first deployment in '03. He pulled me out of a burning Humvee when I blacked out from the concussion. That kind of thing bonds men in a way civilians will never understand. Mike and I stayed close ever since. Different units, but always found ways to link up, and our families got tight too. He was Uncle Mike to Connor. He'd crash on our couch during holidays. Marcy loved him, or so I thought, like a brother. But hindsight's cruel like that. When I got injured last year, Mike was there. Stayed at the hospital some nights. Said he'd help out at the house while I was in rehab. "Anything you need, bro," he said, gripping my shoulder with that same battlefield grip. I thanked him, trusted him. Hell, I needed to trust someone. What I didn't realize then was that every time he showed up while I was gone, he wasn't just checking in on Marcy, he was inching his way into something more. I didn't know how deep it went. Not yet. All I knew was that when I finally came home in February, something in the air was off. Marcy smiled, sure, but it didn't hit her eyes. Connor was quiet, like he knew something he wasn't supposed to. And Mike? He stopped coming around. No explanation, just vanished. It was the silence that gave it away. Not yelling, not fighting, just a weird, stiff silence between people who used to be open books to each other. Something was wrong, and I was about to find out just how deep betrayal can cut when it comes from both the woman you married and the man who once saved your life.
It started small, the kind of things you could brush off if you wanted to, if you were desperate enough to lie to yourself. Marcy was always tired. She'd go to bed early, lock the door, claim she was just exhausted from work. She stopped laughing at my dumb jokes, stopped reaching for my hand when we sat on the couch. Her phone? It was practically glued to her hand, always flipped over, always on silent. I'm not a paranoid man. Years in the Army will either train that out of you or sharpen it to a knife's edge. But I knew the look in her eyes. I've seen it in men who were trying to hide fear or guilt or both. Something was rotting beneath the surface, and I was breathing it in every day. Connor avoided eye contact, wouldn't say much unless I pressed. I figured maybe it was just me being back after so long. Teenagers get weird. But something in his voice cracked when I asked him how things were while I was gone. He shrugged and said, "Okay, I guess. Not good, not fine. Just okay." I let it slide, but that word lodged in my brain like a splinter. Then there was the house. It smelled different. I know that sounds stupid, but you learn to trust your senses in combat. And I noticed things. A faint cologne in the bathroom that wasn't mine, beer bottles I didn't buy in the recycling bin. Once I found a black t-shirt in the laundry, size XL, but not one I owned. I asked Marcy about it. She didn't even blink. Said it was probably Connor's, even though Connor only wears hoodies and graphic tees 2 sizes too small. My gut twisted, but I didn't push. Not yet. I wasn't ready. Maybe I didn't want to believe it. Maybe I was scared. What finally broke the dam was a photo. It was nothing, really. Just a stupid picture on Facebook. One of Marcy's coworkers posted it. A group selfie from a backyard barbecue while I was still in rehab, maybe 5 months ago. Everyone smiling, drinks in hand. But in the background, barely visible near the grill, there was Mike. Mike and Marcy. He was standing close. Too close. Her hand was on his chest. His was on his hip. The kind of pose couples make when they forget the world exists around them. I stared at that photo for a long time. I didn't get angry. I didn't throw my phone. I just sat there, feeling something inside me collapse in slow motion. I zoomed in like an idiot, trying to convince myself it was innocent. But I knew better. I knew. That was the moment it shifted from suspicion to certainty. And once that door opened, I couldn't unsee it. Everything lined up. The tension, the silence, the lies. I confronted Marcy that night. Calm. Too calm. I asked her, "Did anything happen with Mike while I was gone?" She looked at me, blank-faced, like she didn't hear. I asked again, slower. Her eyes flickered just a second, but I caught it. She said no. Swore it. Said I was paranoid, that I was imagining things. But her voice trembled. Her lip twitched. And she couldn't meet my eyes. I didn't push further. I just nodded, got up and left the room. Because if she was willing to lie to my face after everything, then it was already over. The trust, the bond, the damn marriage, it was gone. I wasn't even angry yet. Just hollow. A man can take a bullet to the leg and still walk. But betrayal? That's the kind of wound you feel in your bones forever. A few days passed. I didn't bring it up again. And she didn't try either. That silence between us? It wasn't just uncomfortable. It was radioactive. We moved around each other like ghosts in her own house. She cooked dinner. I ate in silence. I'd lie in bed, pretending to sleep, listening to her breathing beside me, wondering if she was remembering him, Mike, instead of me. The name ran through my head like a loop. Mike. My best friend since college. Best man at my wedding. The guy who helped me move into our first apartment. The guy I trusted with everything. Except, apparently, my wife. But I still hadn't seen it. Not directly. That was the last thread holding me back from falling into that dark place where anger burns hotter than logic. So I did something I never thought I would. I dug. I waited until she was out of the house and went through her phone. She never locked it. Maybe she thought I'd never stoop that low. Maybe she was just careless. In her deleted texts, because she had started deleting them, I found fragments. Not full conversations, but enough. A message from an unknown number. Last night was risky, but I can't stop thinking about you. Another. He'll be home soon. We need to be careful. The timing lined up with when I was still in the hospital, recovering from surgery. She had invited him over, to my house, to our bed. That's when the rage finally came. Not yelling, not throwing things. Something colder. Quieter. I backed up what I could. Screenshots, photos. I wanted to be sure. And then just when I thought I was ready to confront her, when I thought I could finally tear it all open and make her look me in the eyes and say it, I got the final blow. Mike texted me. Out of the blue. Like nothing had happened. Just, "Hey man, let's catch up soon. Beer's on me."
That smug, casual bullshit like we were still boys. Like he hadn't gutted me without a blade. I stared at the screen for 10 minutes, not knowing whether to laugh or throw up. He wasn't even hiding it. He had no guilt, no shame. That text was the last nail. I replied, just one word. Soon. Because now it wasn't just about her. It was about him. About the betrayal that cut from both sides. I wasn't just the man who got cheated on. I was the idiot who let the fox into the henhouse and watched him walk out with everything.
That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the garage with a beer in one hand, Mike's message open on my phone in the other, replaying everything. Every barbecue, every football game, every stupid memory we built over 2 decades. It felt like my whole past had been rewritten in an instant. The worst part? I started blaming myself. Was I blind? Stupid? Or did some part of me already know and just didn't want to face it? But self-pity doesn't get you answers. So I made a decision. If they wanted to act like nothing happened, then fine. I'd give them that. I texted Mike back. Come by Friday. Just us. Like old times. He responded within seconds. Hell yeah. Looking forward to it, bro. That bro hit different now. I spent the next day pretending like everything was fine. Smiled at my wife, kissed her forehead, told her I might hang with Mike on Friday. She flinched. Subtle, but I caught it. That's when I knew. There was no coming back from this. Not for me, not for us. Friday came. I set everything up. Grill lit, fridge stocked, music low, just like old times. When Mike pulled into the driveway, I opened the garage door before he even knocked. He walked in all smiles, sunglasses on, casual as ever. Man, it's been too long, he said, reaching out for a hug. I took it. I let it linger just long enough. Then I pulled back and said, got something I want to show you. I handed him a beer and led him to the back deck. I had printed out the screenshots, left them in an envelope on the patio table. What's this? He asked. Take a look, I said. He opened it, pulled the papers out, and I watched his face shift, eyes scanning the messages, then darting back up at me. For the first time, he looked unsure. Look, he started. I can explain. Don't, I cut him off. Don't insult me more than you already have. He didn't say anything, just stood there, shoulders sagging. No fight in him, no apology either. You came into my house, I said, voice low, even. You slept with my wife, and you smiled in my face every damn time. He tried again. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just happened, I snapped. That's all you've got? He went quiet. So did I. The silence between us was loud, ugly. I turned and walked back inside, leaving him there with the truth laid bare in his hands. He didn't follow. I don't think he could. My wife was in the kitchen when I walked in. She looked at me, saw my face, and her own dropped. You told him, she whispered. No, I said. I showed him. And then I walked past her, into the bedroom, and shut the door. I didn't sleep that night either. But for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel blind anymore.
The next morning was eerily quiet. No clinking dishes, no morning news playing in the background, no footsteps upstairs. I stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening for any sign of life in the house, but there was nothing. Around 9 a.m. I finally got up. The kitchen was empty, the coffee machine untouched. A note lay folded on the counter with my name on it. Ryan. I unfolded it with a heavy sense of déjà vu already creeping up my spine. It wasn't long, just a few lines, scribbled in her usual messy handwriting. I know you hate me. I deserve it. I'm going to stay at my sister's for now. We'll talk when you're ready. I read it twice, then once more. I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel rage. I just felt done. The silence in the house wasn't peaceful anymore. It was hollow. Every corner of the place reminded me of what it used to be, and what it would never be again. I stood there for a while, gripping the edge of the countertop, before picking up my keys and heading out. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there. I drove for hours. No destination. Just the open road and my thoughts bouncing around like shrapnel. Eventually, I ended up at this little overlook outside of town. Mike and I used to go there in high school, sit on the hood of his old truck, drink beers, talk about girls, life, the military, everything. And now, here I was, a grown man, trying to stitch my mind back together at the same damn spot where so many dreams were born. I thought about confronting her again, asking why. Not just how long or how many times. I already knew those answers wouldn't change anything. I wanted to understand what broke inside her. What made her reach for him when she had me. But deep down I knew even if she gave me every word, it wouldn't satisfy anything. There's no clean closure for betrayal. It poisons everything slowly until all that's left is the wreckage. A week passed. She didn't come home. I didn't ask her to. Mike didn't try to reach out either. Mutual friends started picking sides, some texting me with shock and sympathy, others going silent altogether. That's the thing about betrayal. It's not just the person who cheats that gets removed from your life. It's everyone tied to them. Your circle shrinks. Fast. I filed for separation 2 weeks later. My lawyer asked if I was sure. I told him I'd never been more sure about anything. The hardest part was telling my son. He's 10. I sat him down on the couch and told him gently that things were going to change. That mommy and daddy wouldn't be living together anymore, but that we both loved him and that nothing he did was wrong. He asked me one question. Is it because you're mad at each other? And I said, no, buddy. It's because sometimes people stop being who they promised they'd be. He didn't ask anything else. He just nodded, then leaned into me and said, I love you, Dad. The house doesn't feel like a home anymore. I'm still here,